Hello, hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
What's happening, everybody? Krystle. Welcome to The Bar is Open with Beth and Greg. I'm Greg.
I'm Beth.
That's Beth. And this is Krystle. Today we're coming in talking about some health and fitness things kind of in that genre. And today we're going to be talking to Krystle about mindfulness, which is something that I don't think about very frequently, being mindful. Like really at all. Like, honestly.
I do sometimes, but probably not as much as I should.
Right?
I'm only mindful when I'm stressed out and I'm like, I need to go do something to get my mind off how stressed out I am.
Yep.
Right.
Instead of just living that life.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do it as a clutch.
That's exactly it. So that's why Krystle she's been on the show before. If you guys remember, we had her on probably a month, maybe a little longer, month and a half ago or so. Yeah. That was really just an introduction to you, really, that, you know, that's the way it kind of went. But you had a lot planned or prepared that we weren't able to get to in that 45 minutes or whatnot that we talked. But today we really want to kind of dive into what is mindfulness, right? And kind of going that way. The first thing I did, because I literally looked this up to say, okay, what the hell is mindfulness, right? I pulled the definition of it. It says mindfulness is the practice of purposely bringing one's attention in the present moment without evaluation. And it says also a skill one develops through meditation or other training. And there's some additional kind of notes that go into that, but I was like, I mean, it's kind of it's this nebulous idea, I think, right?
Yeah, I think it's really just like an awareness, like a conscious awareness, like just being aware of what's going on in the cabeza.
Yeah, pull that mic right to your face.
Hello.
There you go. Yep. It's like right up to your face.
Okay.
But you're right. I mean, it's an awareness, right?
Yeah.
It's having to be present.
Right.
It worked where we worked. There used to be the thing, you remember the be here now statement? We pull that on each other every once in a while. It's like,
I mean, he means I pull it on him every once in a while.
yeah, simply because I'm not actively listening or something like that, right?
Yep.
So what are your thoughts on it? That's really what I want to, this is more of a podcast for you to share with us.
Well, I'll share real quick before she does that. One of the, when we lived in Phoenix, so I was trying to find a therapist that I like. I never ultimately found one, but I do remember one therapist saying that people who meditate often, they're is it your hypothalamus that's in the front?
I don't know.
Or prefrontal cortex.
Something. It actually continues to grow and develop for people who meditate on a regular basis. Yeah. And that is some of what produces some of that feel good endorphins that we talk about. So there's actual scientific proof that meditation is really, really good for your brain.
Yeah. I mean, agreed. I've looked up some science behind it too, and I don't know, all of it, but I know that it definitely improves like the chemicals, the hormones, everything that's going inside on, throughout your body. I know, right? Yeah. I was like, I can't really see you, but yeah, no, definitely. There's definitely a physical change that's happening inside of the mind and the body. So
as you meditate. So when we get into like some of the practices that you're going to share with us, like let's jump into it. Let's kind of go, head first into it. What's the goal, or is there a goal with, is it practicing mindfulness, I guess is a way to put it?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
What do you think? Like, what are your thoughts on it?
Yes. And really, I think it's just being present with yourself. Like we talked about, I think we talked about this before, because just having that awareness of yourself makes life a little bit less reactive and more, I guess you're responding more, instead of being reactive, because we're a bunch of patterns and we're a bunch of habits, because that's what we are. We're creatures of habits and patterns, and that's the same for the mind and the body. Like we've created all of these neural networks and these neural circuits that are just repeating themselves because of how we've responded or how we've reacted to the world around us.
It's like we're programmed.
Well, and I
definitely
think
programmed.
It's probably a little bit different for every person. My mindfulness comes from a place of like stopping my anxiety. So I've learned through my mindfulness, is it something that's actually happening, or is it something I'm making in my head? Because a lot of us, we get in our own head, and mindfulness stops that. It helps you rethink,
break that cycle or something.
It helps you rethink, like, is this something that's really happening, or am I making this happen? So it's teaching your brain to almost think differently. And if you do it often enough, your brain just it's like a habit, right? If you do it often enough, your brain just goes there. And so you'll start to like feel anxious or nervous or whatever. You're like, okay, why is this happening to me? Let's think through that. And a lot of times it's through that pattern of breathing and just stopping and only thinking about your brain that brings you back to that connection of where you're just being, you're not panicking. But it is something I feel like you have to continuously do, because I'm not meditating right now. And I tell you about every third day, I really need to get back into my meditation practice. And I'm like, come on, Castro, you can find 10 minutes somewhere. You can find 10 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
And that's definitely what I found has helped me, is the consistency and finding that routine for myself. But honestly, it's not even routine. It's just training, like constantly, like
brushing your teeth now.
Yeah. Well, it's like opportunistic. Like if I'm getting anxious, or if I'm feeling stressed for whatever reason, or if I'm having a bad day, I'm having a bad morning or whatever, it's definitely something that I'll go to, right? So that's definitely a go-to. Meditation, yoga for me, because in that yoga practice is when I can get into like a meditative state. Same thing with like jujitsu. Sometimes, I mean, I'm not thinking about anything else, but I'm just thinking
that's
like
my
flow.
Release from, like, I don't have to think about, you can't think about work. There's no time to think about work, or like what you're going to do for this, or when you're going to do it. You have to be there, or you're going to get choked.
Present.
Or something's going to
Yeah.
happen.
Or
You know what I
you're
mean?
going to get your arm.
Yeah. Right? There's no choice. And that's absolutely, we're going to talk about that at a later show, but the jujitsu side of this, but it's really, there's some training that has to go into mindfulness. I think there's got to be, right? Like you said, somebody's got to, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to do this, is because you need a starting point.
So you think it's probably not really hard to sit there and breathe for 10 minutes? It's incredibly difficult.
That's me.
It's incredibly difficult when you first start it. But the good news is, especially with everything that's happened over the last 2 years, they've always been there, but they've become very popular in the last 2 years, or apps specific. I use one that's like, there's one that's called Calm. I want to say where's your head, or one that I use. Headspace. Thank you, is the one that I pay for and use.
I know. I was like, it's orange, but I can't think of the name.
I use that one, and you pay an annual fee, which isn't, I mean, if you stop and think about all the crap you pay for money, you're like, really, I can handle this cost for my mental well-being is probably a little bit more expensive than that pizza I order 3 times a month.
For that cost of a cup of coffee kind of excuse, right?
Right.
For 1 cup of coffee, you can have mindfulness.
Right. Yep.
But so if you were to bring somebody into kind of the practice and learning how to do these, like, what are the first things that you would say to somebody that to me, for instance, right? That I don't sit still for 10 minutes, like almost at all, right? Unless I'm working, but then I'm working, or, you know what I mean? Just being kind of chill doesn't happen. Where it's like midnight or 1 o'clock and I'm watching TV. Oh. So that's
when do you do yours?
Anytime I can. Okay. I literally just take the opportunity when I can. I like the mornings.
That's because I've always read that mornings are best, and I'm like, I don't have time in the mornings. Yeah. The mornings are hectic and crazy, and I'm not getting up early just to be mindful. I like sleeping.
It's a great start to the morning, honestly, because then you're just prepared for the day. Yeah. So even if it's just like a 10-minute like Wim Hof breathing technique, or whatever breathing technique that you like to use, like just 10 minutes a day just changes like this drastically.
But you didn't start with 10 minutes, right? Like, I know when I started probably, I think I started with like 3 to 5 minutes, and then slowly built your way up, because you really, like, 10 minutes can seem kind of daunting. It's kind of like almost anything. When you started off with jiu-jitsu, you didn't start off with the moves. You didn't start off with the moves that you can do now, right? You like had to build on those. And so it's almost like you can't start off with a 25-pound weight for a bicep curl if you're never lifted weights in your life. You've got to start at like that 5-pound and do 5 reps of 3 sets, or blah, 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 blah. Kind of the same thing, at least with Headspace. They had us start. And he's got this great English accent voice that's super calm and just talks you like off the ledge every time.
I am honestly trying to think of when I started, because I don't even remember.
How long have you been doing it, do you think?
Probably like 7 years.
Oh, wow.
Or so.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think I told you before I got into some trouble. And so with the law.
With the law. The lawman was
the lawman.
It's in the past. That's why they call it the past.
But it like really, I mean, that was kind of me hitting my rock bottom and realizing, oh shit, like, is this really what I want my life to be? And so in those moments, like I was already into this, like I was doing yoga and stuff, like as a physical, you know, physically beneficial. Almost, it was like post workout I would do like a little flow with my friend or whatever, you know, like we would also cold plunge and we would do all these modalities. And I was, because I'm an athletic trainer, like I was doing modalities and I was learning about them, but I did not take the practice with more intention. And I think that's what the main thing is, like you have to have intention behind whatever practice you're using, because you don't necessarily need to be meditating per se. It kind of just leads you there. I mean, it led me there. I was just doing these practices and I was just led to meditation, and I just realized that like I really enjoyed it, and I wasn't silent. Like, I mean, still I don't know how long, because I go into the float tank for like an hour and there's a period of time where I'm nowhere. Like I literally, there's nothing's going on in my brain, but it took time for that to happen and for me to get comfortable, but like there's nothing, like
it's just blank.
But
which is cool.
But
almost like sleeping awake.
Like, and sometimes I feel like I do fall asleep, actually.
I was just wondering, I was like, I'd probably fall asleep.
Like I know I have a few times like just flinched a little bit. I'm like, oh shit, like
I'm still in here.
I'm like, oh okay, so I was asleep for a second, but it's cool, like we're still here. I just think that any practice that you do, so like even jujitsu, because I started jujitsu 7 years ago as well, when all of this was happening. So that was a mindfulness practice. Then I started teaching, like it was called floga, but it was like stretch and mobility. And so that was like a mindfulness practice. And then there were moments where you're just like, you're tuned out to everything else because you're paying attention to your body and your breath. And so I just got better and better. And then finally it was like, I'm just going to meditate. I'm going to breathe. I'm going to either start with a meditation or end with a meditation or just do a meditation. But like, it just came more naturally because I was already practicing it without really intentionally, getting the app, which I have gotten the apps and I've tried those. I don't personally like
You probably don't need them anymore, because you're beyond that point where like the apps I think are great for people who are starting out that have no idea where to begin.
You start? It's like using that.
And then you get to a point where you probably don't need those things because you've figured out what works best for you or how you're going to fit it into your life.
Apps, there's yoga, there's DVDs. Not that you can stream it. You can
for
download.
Me, and maybe it's because I suck at yoga, but yoga isn't as relaxing for me as meditation is because I'm dying the whole time I do yoga because I am stiff. Just even like touching my toes is a hard act to follow. Like how am I supposed to get back up and not be thinking about how badly my hamstrings and my back hurts? Because that's not what you do when you meditate, But yeah, so I need
to stretch some more.
I've been telling you that Stretch Lab is calling my name.
Yeah,
I need to go check that place out. But so I think it's kind of, once you get good at it, you can fit it in probably in different things that you do versus somebody that's just starting out. An app for a year might be because you pay for a year, right? The good news is a lot of companies now will reimburse you for that charge. Like if they have a good wellness benefit program, that maybe the gym or that app or whatever, a lot of places will pay for some of that stuff. So
that's true. Check with like your health insurance and stuff like that, or the company, your employers, because sometimes they'll pay for that.
Yeah, that's
stuff.
so neat. I love that they're doing that now.
It's huge because I think a lot of people discovered that that's kind of what gave them mental health while we were going through this pandemic and put away for 2 years. For a lot of people, they were by themselves, like pet boom pet adoption boomed. I feel like maybe meditation and those app type of things boomed at the same time because
stress,
people
anxiety,
needed that in their lives. I want to go back a second. So what's you said modalities. What's a modality?
Oh, it's just like a heat pad or a cold plunge or ice pack or
so it's physical.
Yeah, or ultrasound or like they use stim units or the compression boots. All of those things are modalities.
Okay.
It's just it's a tool that you use to help
the application.
To help apply to apply whatever it is.
Okay.
So it's a tool basically.
So like those massage guns or those would be modality? Okay.
That's cool.
All right. Okay. That's cool. That's why I just didn't know what it was. And I was like, if I don't know, I'm sure other people don't know. So
yeah.
Cool.
So kind of just, again, looking through some of these. So I kind of mentioned like, or I asked kind of like, what's the goal? So you don't necessarily, I mean, a lot of people want to see like an end result of something, right?
Oh, okay,
like
yeah.
you go into martial arts, use that for example, you go white belt, yellow belt, green belt, like in a karate sense or whatever, and you belt up or you get better. That's the one thing I think that, you know, yoga is a continued practice. Meditation is a continued practice. There's never an end to these
Well, no, there's an end goal. It's called sanity.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
I would say so.
You know what I mean? It's like mental health is your end goal. It's just never going to end because you need to continue to work on that mental health. You don't fix it once.
so maybe that's a guy, maybe that's my perspective is like, okay, what's the goal?
Yeah.
Like the goal is mental health. It is
Well,
So if
mental
you
health,
wanna,
mental health, stress relief, physical. I mean,
Yeah.
it probably is good for your body too, I would assume.
physically.
You
I
know?
was about to go woo woo. I was gonna say spiritually,
Spiritually, that's cool. Yeah.
enlightenment.
Yeah.
I guess if you're looking at like the Buddhist kind of
Yeah.
mindset, absolutely.
And that's
right?
what I got into initially. I think that's why, like, and I was already kind of spiritual in the more religious standpoint, but then I got more spiritual, like as far as connecting with myself and God, who I thought was, anyways. So that part is actually like still not enlightened per se, but like that is a goal of mine, just to be less responsive to the world and or reactive to the world, and really just be present and understand that there's so much that I don't understand and that I don't control and that I can't control. So I'm just going to be present and learn from where I can and be compassionate where I can and be kind where I can, and know that I was going to say the F word.
You can't.
I know, I'm like,
It's an adult joke.
but know that I'm going to mess
You're
up,
gonna screw up once in a while, yeah.
Yes, a lot and over, but that's when I get the opportunity to reflect and, come back and say, okay, so I screwed up there. So how am I going to respond next time? And you just continue that. It's just like training. I screwed up. I got choked out this time. So how am I going
to fix it? Or
Yeah. How am I going to
learn
fix
from it?
that? And that's what it is. It's just mindfulness is that, like, just being present, like knowing yourself, basically being present with yourself and your reactions and your responses to the world outside, because again, it's chaotic. It's we don't have any control. We have no idea what's going to happen. Anything could happen at any moment.
In reality, yeah.
And so are you gonna get pissed off because the guy cut you off, or are you gonna just wave and say, all right, dude, like,
Hope you get to
that's
where you're
cool.
going safe.
Yeah,
Apparently, you're in a hurry.
yeah, exactly. Like whatever it is, like, hope you're okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Instead of being responsive in that way. So does
That makes
make
sense. Yeah, absolutely.
So that's the goal.
I could use
You
that.
could use
I could
that.
use some mindfulness, is what you're saying.
For your driving, yeah. You totally could.
So when we talk about benefits of having a routine, that was kind of like we had said, your brain is basically a system of patterns and interconnectivity and routines, right?
Mhm.
So one of my routines is like working out Monday. I work out after work, but the days that I don't get to work out because something gets in the way, then I'm just a grump, basically. You could probably agree to that, right? Like if I don't work out for a long time,
If you don't work out consistently, like, or if you consistently miss working out,
yeah, for some reason, whatever
real
happens,
ass.
yeah, stress levels go up, all the other stuff. But I think that's part of having that routine. And that's where, I go twice a week to jujitsu. That's about what my body can physically take at this point, right? Shit hurts all the time. But yeah, I'll come home and I'll be like, oh, I got this. But it's so much fun because the practice of in having that routine and having the team there and going and building that kind of group together, that I think is part of it. So like go to yoga class. We used to do Bikram yoga. Like it's been quite a while. It's been since
4 years.
Yeah, 4 years since we moved from Arizona. Hot yoga, we go a couple times a week. Or maybe was it once a week? I don't remember.
Hot yoga, we went we tried to go twice a week when it was cooler.
And then it was
Definitely only
118
once a
degrees out.
week. Only once in a week when it was 110.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But getting into those routines, it's like it's hard to build the routine, right? And when you're talking about meditation or doing something like it's totally free. And the shit is, aside from if you want to download an app that costs you something. But again, kind of going to somebody that maybe they are in a stressful place or they're in something, they can't afford to go join a gym or something like that. But that is something that you could easily do, right? You can find books on this shit.
Yeah, and YouTube has a ton of things that you can follow. There's like a whole bunch of meditations. Some of them are really good. Some of them are like driving meditation. So while you're driving, you can like go into a meditation. Like I've done one of those.
I feel like that's dangerous.
Yeah, no, it's specifically for driving. So you start to pay attention to like your surroundings. You start to notice things. Like it kind of just brings you into the present moment.
That's interesting.
I mean?
So you know when you turn, you know how you got to work, not just that you got to work.
Right, you're not on autopilot. Yeah.
Like that's an interesting point because everybody's probably done this. You've driven somewhere and they're like, did I just like blow through a light?
Right.
Or
when did I take,
was it
when
green?
did I, yeah.
Or, you know what I mean? Like, I swear you look back, you're like, how did I just get from here to here?
Okay, so that is funny that you said that though, because Brandy experienced something like that today when, so today in my class, this was the first time that she actually let go. Like she literally did not like realize that she had gone into this meditative state. She went into it. We were doing a breathing technique and she was just like, oh, wow. Okay, wait, I'm here. So I have to keep breathing again. And I love that. Yeah. I love that. That's the space that you want to be in. But she had never experienced that. And so she described it as it was almost like I was in autopilot when I'm driving. So that's funny that you say that because you can get there in the meditative state with breathing techniques and just allow like whatever to happen. And then that is like the best. It's like bliss for me. I'm just like,
it's interesting. Oh. Yeah. So. I've definitely done the driving thing where you're like, holy shit. Yeah, but that makes sense.
We all have. Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. So,
it's habitual. That's all.
It's habitual.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's a habit, and your brain and your body already know what to do.
They know the direction. They know
and that's what mindfulness does too. Your brain and you're teaching your brain and your body how to be responsive versus reactive because that's what you're doing. You're training it all the time.
Yeah.
And so then it will naturally happen. You're like, oh, I didn't have to react in an angry way because you know what I mean? So you're just training yourself and it becomes autopilot for you. So that's the goal.
That's the goal. So what other kind of...
Well, how do you use that? Because I like this question, Greg. You said instilling and maintaining drive in physical fitness. Like, how do you think it plays in with the physical aspect of your health? Like
physically?
Yeah, like like your workout routines and everything. Does it impact that, or is it just in addition to that?
No, it definitely impacts it. Yeah, because it's boosting your immune system at the same time. So you're just doing so many good things when you start doing these practices because your mind is more sharp, your body is more sharp. You're just more aware of yourself. So when you are working out, if you can even do mindful workouts,
there's mind-body connection happening because of it.
Exactly. So everything is just more attuned and it's just more connected to one another. And that's what it is also is it's a connection. It's mind, body, and spirit connection. That's what yoga is. Yoga is not the practice of poses. Yoga is connecting with yourself, mind, body, and spirit.
Okay.
I've never thought of yoga that way.
Me neither.
I've always thought of it.
Thought of it as torture.
It's a hard workout.
It is a hard workout.
You know what I mean? When you really kind of think it, because maybe that's, I don't know, maybe I think probably a lot of people are into yoga or into certain things for the workout of it versus
the mind, body, spirit.
That. Yeah.
Connection.
Right?
Yeah.
Because at least I was like, how much weight can I lose from doing an hour of hot yoga, right? Like how much sweat can I, or whatever, right? Trying to get the physical benefits of it too. So other things that you can think of that, you know, people could help with that, right? So you have the driving, you have the, where you can do it anywhere. But getting into that, would you say it's like you have the meditation, the yoga, the martial arts, what else would go into?
Well, the practices that I do at Transcend help as well, like the sauna, but you can do that anywhere, right? At a gym or whatever, just being present with yourself, your body as well. Like it builds resilience in many ways, the sauna, the cold plunge, and even the float tank, the being present with yourself in darkness with no sound. Like that's a scary thing for a lot of people.
I think that probably would freak me out a little bit at first.
Like when I did the cold plunge the first time here, like a while back.
Were you nervous?
The first time it's anxiety. Yeah. Right. So then like locking me up into like not locking up, you know what I mean?
Closing
the lid on a float tank. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I can just imagine all the jumps and like, where can your brain go? Right. You can think of some weird shit.
movie, like in the 80s, there was a movie where he started in a float tank and he ended up almost like going to a different reality. I'm trying to remember the name of the movie.
I don't know.
Way before your time. I'll have to look it up, but that's basically like it took a science fiction turn on it. Like he traveled so far out of his body that he literally went to another realm or plane or whatever you want to call it.
Astral projecting.
Yeah. So I think like when you started like with that stuff, did they start you slow on that, or did they just say, "Here, good luck, you're in there for an hour"?
No, yeah, it's an hour.
Even from the very beginning? Oh,
yeah, but you can get out when
Okay.
you want to.
Okay.
So
You're having a panic attack sitting in a dark room.
Yeah, and it's there are different. So Transcends is like
And what's Transcends?
That's a place, right?
Transcend is a place. Yes, they have cold plunges, they have massages, they have sauna, they have floats. They have facials, they have compression boots, just a whole bunch of different modalities,
That's
like healing modalities.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, it's off
Write that down. I'm gonna check it out.
somewhere East Elamere. Gosh, I'm sorry, Selena and Brad. I don't remember the address or what.
Is it far?
We can find
Or
it.
is it around?
No, it's by the Pearl. I mean, kind of far, 25 minutes, but
yeah.
I like it, and I like that space specifically because of the people, because of the owners, Brad and Selena. They're just amazing people, and ever since I started going there, I was like, yeah, I love them. Like I just built a connection with them, and so I just continue.
So you get into one of those float tanks.
Yeah, and so that's what I was gonna say is like, so Transcends is like a tank. Like so you can open it, you go inside, and then you close it. It's a tank.
Okay.
And then they have pods. So where it's kind of more like futuristic,
like
almost.
Yeah. Kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's like something from like Dragon Ball Z or something. And then you can close it. It's different. And then they have some that are like open. So it's like a big tub basically. And it's just an open space. You step in, it's like a kind of like a roomish, but it's just water. It's like a big tub.
Mm-hmm.
But that one's nice too. I like that one.
So are there different purposes for each of these different types, or are they all same purpose, different options?
Yes. Same purpose, different options.
Okay.
I think that they're called cabins at Float SA. There's another place called Float SA. They have the cabin, which is just like you step in and it's a big tub and you just like kind of, and they're very shallow. Like the water is maybe this high.
So if you sit, you're sitting, you're not floating, but goal is to, Greg, you'd be in trouble because you don't float.
I don't
so
float.
the water is higher because obviously your body and your butt. And
Right.
Right. But you float, so it's not very high.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's, I mean,
Greg's gonna drown. I can't float.
Greg can't float to save his life.
But if you do end up going, be careful because it's all it is like 1,000+ pounds of Epsom salt, and that's why you float.
Oh, okay.
You'd float.
Yeah.
That's like
You'd float.
Okay.
Yeah.
That
So
makes
just
sense.
don't get the water in your eyes
Or your mouth.
because I've definitely done that before. But they have water bottles where you can like fresh water, so you can spray your eyes and stuff.
That's funny.
All right.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
So going into that, thinking, let's go down a little path on that. So we say it's the same process of clearing your mind, or kind of right. And I think this is a lot of what this comes down to is just being able to clear your mind.
Yes.
For a minute, or for whatever it is.
Yeah, just
right?
being present with yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and your body.
And not stressing out about all the other stuff that you can't control. So when you're in the float tank, right? I know I've heard like you jerk, you twitch because you're not used to being suspended. Humans aren't used to being like suspended like that, right? Because you're suspended in water, basically, right? What it is.
Well, I'm sure it's probably taking pressure off your body.
Just-
too.
Yeah, it's taking all the pressure. So I'm saying
So
floating.
your body's relaxing, and that's the twitching.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Kind of like
that's-
sometimes what happens when you go to sleep.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I mean. It's like you do those weird
Right.
twitches. I'm twitching. If you're listening to this, I'm twitching on camera.
It's not breakdancing.
No, but the idea of that, you know, like I said, some people don't. Maybe that's just some people are never going to do that, right? They're just not going to want to clear their mind, even though they should.
They feel like they're losing
Yeah, but
control.
Yeah, it's a control. Maybe that's a good way to
too
put it.
much
It's like a
of
control
letting
thing.
go of control.
And that's what Brandy talked about. The same thing. She said I was like, so what happened? Like, what did you feel? She's like, do you want to hear that I lost control? Because I did, Krystle. And I'm like, yes. I'm like, you don't need to be in control. It's okay. And that's a big thing too.
It's a big thing.
It's so big. That's all we want. Like we have this like innate desire to control everything around us. And I think that's just because we're human, right? And we live in this 3D world with all of this stuff, and we can't see like beyond, like, I don't know. I just feel like we always want to be in control.
Versus intangible kind of things.
I don't know. That's just me. But so anyways, that's funny that you said that. But I just wanted to bring it back to, because with my practices, first of all, there's another benefit physically. There are benefits to being in Epsom salt because it has like magnesium, sulfate, and other things. So for recovery wise, a lot of people go in there to recover. They go in there to physically recover their muscles and stuff post-workout or whatever, if they had a hard week or whatever.
I've heard of like
Epsom salt. We have a whole thing of Epsom. What's the purple herb? The purple lavender Epsom salt. You know, Dr. What's his name's that I think we've each used like once. We have this huge bath and we're like, we're doing that's salt baths. And I was like, we're not doing it. We've done it twice.
This is thousands, like at least 1,000 plus pounds of
a ton.
Sauce. Yeah. So you're just imagine, and this is why I have my routine for a reason. So I do the sauna, then I do the float tank, and then I do the cold plunge.
Okay.
Because like we talked about last time, the sauna, the heat opens up, dilates blood vessels, and opens up the pores.
Right.
So what I'm trying to do is I'm preparing for the Epsom salt and the magnesium sulfate to come inside of my body. Like I want the nutrients.
Your body to soak it up.
So it's not just, you know what I mean? It's also a physical thing. I'm thinking of it logically as well. I'm like my masculine side and my feminine side. You know what I mean? I'm trying to balance both. So, so yeah, there's a reason.
I didn't know that.
Rhyme.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
It did that. That's cool.
Yeah.
So you could theoretically do that at your house. I mean, you're not going to have as much Epsom salt probably, right?
Yes.
But you could put a whole ton of it in a tub and get some of the benefits from that too.
Yeah. And I'll tell my athletes now, because everyone's like, you know, post workout, they're like, well, are you going to do the ice tub? Are you going to do the ice bath? I'm like, no, I don't. You're not going to do the ice bath. Like, unless you have a 2 a day or something, like I'm not going to put you in the ice bath. Because I don't know if I talked about it last time, but because you don't get the benefits of like the muscle growth, like growth hormone or something, these hormones aren't produced if you ice immediately after, because you want a pro-inflammatory response.
Yeah.
So if you're icing immediately after, you've just like everything that you wanted to gain is like null and void. You stop that process. So you need that process. You want that pro-inflammatory. So I tell them, go home and take a bath.
Take a hot bath.
Yeah, I say if you have Epsom salt, just take a bath.
All right.
Yeah. So.
And that stuff's pretty cheap.
Right?
Yeah, it is. It is because like as we talked about the ice bath or the cold plunges and those sorts of things before as well. And I'd never done one of those. I can see the absolute benefit of trying to shock. I don't want to call it. It is a shock to your body, but the benefits of it. I've done plenty of sauna, I've done plenty of steam rooms, I've done plenty of those sorts of things, and you can see how using both of them or all of it together once a week or something, right? Get yourself create a process for yourself, or like you said.
How often do you do it? Do you go through the 3-step process that you talked about?
Once a week.
Okay.
Once a week, and I've been doing that for I don't know how many months now, for a while now.
Okay.
So maybe at least 6 months. Probably a lot longer, but
is there benefit to doing it more than once a week, or is it pretty just once a week is the same as doing it 2 or 3 times a week?
No, it would be good to do it every day, but that would be really.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah,
and time,
Yeah, but that's why I do other practices. So that's why I'll do a hot bath at home. That's why I do cold showers. That's why I do my yoga practice. That's why, you know what I mean. Like I try to get my benefits in other places. I try to make sure I'm eating well and drinking, hydrating, and just doing all the other things that come along with just being a healthy and well person,
individual,
like a human being.
Yeah.
So
are there other types of, like when we think mindfulness, we've kind of gone through the mind, like the mind, body, spirit types of things. It doesn't have to be the spiritual, but it can be the others. It depends on you as a, person or listener or whatnot. But when we go into that, what other types of things would you just recommend people to start, or that maybe they've been doing something, they've been doing martial arts, or they've been riding a bike every day for months or years or whatever, trying to get something new to them, right? When you get an athlete that's like, I've been playing baseball or I've been playing soccer, how do you try and get them to start thinking about these types of things, or do they?
Yes.
Okay.
And how I get them into it is breathing.
Okay.
Breathing techniques. Then I kind of show them like what type of people do breathing techniques, like Hickson Gracie, who is this badass jiu-jitsu guy, and a lot of people know who the Gracies are, know UFC, know all of that. So I just show them, athletes are doing this, professional athletes. So when I worked with the soccer team, like I actually did a session with them post-workout, and I would go through breathing and like yoga, just stretching and stuff, but I would make sure to incorporate all of it. So just everybody, if you're in the health and wellness industry, and especially in the sports, this is something that is like prevalent.
It is.
So breathing techniques and recovery, like how are we going to recover and perform better? Okay, well, we need to be mentally resilient. We need to be in that flow state, right? You've heard of the flow state. So how do we get there? Well, you get there by losing control of everything else. Like nothing else matters, and you're just focusing in the moment right now, right here, your performance. So
I think that's a cool way to kind of, we talked about, we hit on this just a few minutes ago, but that I think is part of it. You can lose control of everything if you're focused on something, right? Because like your bills are still going to be your bills, and having to go get groceries and pick up your kids or do all that, that's always going to be there. But if you can do something right now, like jujitsu, or going for your bike rides, or going to the gym, and just being there, but put your phone down and do some, you know what I mean?
Even if it's like, so for me at work, I'll actually enjoy like the organizational part of, because I get into flow state. Like I'm organizing whatever I'm, paperwork or whatever equipment that I have. And I'm in that state because all I'm focused on is the task at hand. And I'm just like there present with myself and what I need to do. And it's rewarding. Like afterwards you just feel accomplished, and you feel like, okay, like I did something. I accomplished something, and that is actually really good for the mental as well. So
your mental health,
like a to-do list. I love checking stuff off a to-do list when I get it done.
You complete you got your work day to-do list. You write it down in the morning.
I can strike a line through it. I'm like, hallelujah.
Right, and it feels good because you're getting these chemicals and these hormones that are being sent to your mind and your body. So all of this is just beneficial.
That's a cool way to think about mindfulness.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like it just depends on how you want to apply it.
So if somebody wanted to start figuring out more, like doing homework or research, or, finding the benefits and trying to find a little bit more, is there some place that you would drive them? Are there certain books or websites or?
Oh, there are a lot of books that I've read. So which ones were there? Oh, Breathe. James Nestor, that's a good one. That's just on breathing, and he does like a bunch of he's a journalist that there's a lot of science and research that goes behind that book. So that one's a really good one. What's the other one? The Body Keeps the Score is a really good one, because everybody's gone through some type of trauma, and so the body literally holds on to that. So learning why it holds on to it, how to release it, and how to just manage all of that. That's a really good book too. Yoga, or I think it's called Yoga, The Quest for the True Self. I just recently finished that one. That was so good. I think he was a psychologist who started practicing yoga, and he ended up turning into a yoga instructor. That's his job now.
Okay.
That's what he decided, because he found that was more beneficial than just the
counseling piece of it. That's cool.
So, and a lot of psychologists are suggesting now to meditate and to do mindfulness practices and in yoga and stuff. So it's the thing now, and people are realizing and coming into that awareness. Like we need to take care of ourselves in totality.
Well, I almost feel like letting go of control actually gets you more control. If you can let go and get your body in sync, then when you need to be in control, you're calm, cool, and collected, and can focus and take a charge at what you're trying to do. So it's almost like, to get control, you got to lose control.
Yeah. It's empowering.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Need to get back into it.
Yeah, for sure.
Need to wake up 10, 15 minutes earlier than I do.
You got a whole workout room just right behind the wall.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Come up here and.
Or I could just close the dogs out and you out of the bedroom and be like, I'm meditating, snam.
You could do that as well.
Oh, there's another book. There's so many books. I don't know. I'm going to have to
later on share them. Yeah, share them out.
There's so many.
Just kind of take some pictures of them and share them out, and I'll share them.
Okay, because I can't remember.
Push them out. Yeah, we'll push them out to everybody if you're interested in reading those. And there.
And listening, because I know a lot of people don't like to read, but I find it easier to listen.
Like an audible kind of?
Yes.
Okay.
And I drive a lot. So I drive an hour and 15 minutes to work and back. So I have 2.5 hours that I'm just killing.
That's
with,
quite the commute.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but like I've killed a lot of books. You know, I finished a lot of books because I'm of Audible.
Drive and listen,
and then I'll buy them paper because I like want to reference.
You want the copy of it.
There's so much good information that I'm like, I need this, I need that, I need that.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. That's
good.
part of your industry as well. So to know these things and to be able to show, hey, check this article out or check the photocopy that thing, give it to your, athletes or something along that line as well. So when we got kind of wrap some of this up, right? What else? Do you have anything else we want to cover? Because like I said, you're going to kind of guide us through this episode, right? What else? Are there other things that we should be sharing? Again, I mentioned this before we even did the show. It's like,
so is this your journal? Do you use this for journaling or what is?
Yeah. Both.
Okay.
I don't know what I don't know. And that's kind of why I wanted to talk to you about this. And last time Beth was like, I really want to know more about mindfulness. And like, what do we do? What do you recommend? Is there anything that we're missing that could help people, be more present or do this? Just the act of that.
So it's kind of perfect that because I was like, I just want to say this. It's called Riding the Wave. And it was, this is how the psychologist in that book, Yoga, The Quest for the True Self, how he described like how to get through, be more present with yourself and how to get through things, especially like tough situations. And it's called Riding the Wave. He describes it as riding the wave. So the first step would be to breathe. So conscious breathing opens up the emotional body. And then the second step would be to relax in a posture that you can relax in. And I put here soft belly, grounding, yogic breaths. So that's the way I describe it. Because in my classes, I do a lot of yogic breathing to kind of bring people into the present moment to prepare them for whatever we're going to do. The third step would be to feel, to actively move towards sensations and breathe through them. In the level of sensation, develop curiosity. Where do I feel? Bring awareness. And then going back to like your description, your definition of mindfulness that you found, it said without evaluation. So really just bring in awareness. I wouldn't say without evaluation per se. I would say without judgment.
Okay.
So I would say without saying this is good or bad. It just is, because that's all of life is going to be good or bad, but it is what it is right now. So we just have to move through whatever it is. Right. The fourth step is to watch, to witness, to be witness consciousness. You can participate and be a part at the same time. So that's pretty cool. How is it?
Yeah.
The coach, breathe, relax, feel, watch, and allow, which is the last step, is to allow. Let life touch us. Everything is already okay. Relinquish resistance. Support and trust the process. Let it happen. Be present. Understanding will eventually come. Trust life. So these are just notes that I wrote from this specific thing. And I was actually driving while doing this, so don't judge me. But that's why it's so messy. I was like, I have to write this, like, because I didn't have the book at the time. So I was like, I need to know this right now. Like, because it's a process of like getting through something. So just riding the wave.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Riding the wave.
Yeah.
So awesome.
Yeah.
We appreciate having you on the show this afternoon, coming over and talking to us,
hanging out with us, educating us.
Yeah, I think this is an important one. We'll have you back definitely to talk other types of aspects. Self-care. Yeah. So I really think that's one piece of the self-care, right?
Yeah.
Is mindfulness.
There's a lot more.
So when you go into that, it is taking care of yourself. It is, health, the mind, body, spirit part of it, right? And I think that's an important thing for all of us to kind of work on.
Right.
I'll be as honest as anybody, like the whole mindfulness is not a thing necessarily, but it's something I need to start doing.
It's not a thing that you do, you mean. Yeah. It's a thing. You just don't do that thing.
That I practice, I should say, right? I need to get better at it. And thank you so much for coming on and sharing kind of your thoughts and guiding us through it.
Educating us on it. Yeah.
All right, everybody, you know where to find us. Out on The Bar Is Open with Beth and Greg, the pages, all the Instagrams and all that good stuff. Krystle, where can everybody find you?
At Kruizenga, that's Kruiz Krys on Instagram, and then also at Mind Body Development on Instagram as well. And I'm thinking about reactivating my Facebook. We'll see.
I think that everybody's like, do I really go there anymore?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Not much
It's all good,
work.
but I've also got the your logo up on. I've had it up the whole time, so we'll be able to share that, and I'll push this out along when we released it.
Oh yeah, and I have classes.
Oh, yeah.
Your Fitness
there you go.
365/Submission Concepts, 9 a.m. Tuesdays and Sundays. So,
There we go.
and I go through breathing techniques. So bringing mindfulness practices in the moment. So breathing. Usually this is how I do. I do breathing techniques, then I do a movement practice, then I finish with the breathing technique.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
It's a nice, well-rounded,
Yeah,
chill class. Good deal. Thank you so much
Yes,
for
sir.
coming on.
Thank you guys.
Catch you guys a little bit
fun.
later. Have a
Thank
good
you.
day.
We'll
See y'all.
see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.